Hello, guys, and welcome to yet another exciting episode. This is Agyapong, and if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of this exciting and yet educational content. I'm excited you are joining me today, and I hope you guys are doing great out there. All right, now let's jump in. Today's episode is going to be the first of its kind that is based on spreadsheets. And this is WASSCE 2020 Paper 3. And this, we have to read the instructions to know what you're supposed to do. And this is exactly what you're supposed to do. Our initials and then our index number together on our desktop. So we create that. So this Agyapong and this is my index number 0110000101. Make sure you use your name and initials, and then save your work in this folder when you are done. Awesome. So let's go back to our question and then see what we have today. Now in this question, which is question 1 on spreadsheet, there are payments for more telephone calls in the country, and this is how they are calculated based on the following conditions. Now in spreadsheets, when you hear conditions, your mind should just go back to conditional functions. For example, the logical functions, So and, or, if, those are your conditions. Not, all those are logical functions. So it might be one of those that we're going to use in this. Now this is the table for the type of call. So we have local, trunk, and foreign. Then the amount for the charge for the first 3 minutes for local 10, 20 for trunk, and 30 for foreign. Now, after the first 3 minutes, these are the amounts or the charges for every additional minute that we make. If it is local, you pay 5 for additional minutes, 10 for trunk, and 15 after the first 3 minutes of the call. This is interesting, right? Okay. Now, these are calls made on a particular day for the call center. Now we have a list of customers, the call types, and then the duration in minutes. And then we have to, I suppose we are supposed to fill this column, the amount payable. All right, let's go ahead and see what we have. Now using appropriate spreadsheet program and then the table above, we have to calculate the amount payable per customer. Okay, so as predicted. Now the maximum amount due per type of call. So based on the type of call you make, what is the maximum amount that anyone at all paid for making a particular type of call? And then we have III, the total amount due the operator, so the sum of all the charges that were levied to customers. B says that using the header facility, insert your full name and index number. That we will do, and then we'll save our work as calls in the folder we created. That is it for 15 marks to solve this problem. So this problem is a conditional problem in spreadsheets, and we're going to call on Excel to help us solve that. So that is Excel. Now it's sorry Microsoft, I'm not updating now. Now, as with every problem here, we have to put down the question. So copy and complete our tables quickly. Then we can go ahead and then find ways to solve our problem. So this is our table. So I'm going to do that as fast as I can, though I am very slow in typing. So we have type of call, and next column we have amount for first 3 minutes. Then the next column we have the amount for every additional minute. Amount for every additional minute. Okay. So we just have to resize our cells, and then we have clarity here. So the type, of course, we have local, we have trunk, and then there is foreign. Now for local, for first 3 minutes, you're supposed to pay 10, 20 for trunk, and 30 for foreign. Now for every additional minute, we have to pay 5 for local, 10 for trunk, and then 15 if it is a foreign call. Interesting. So let's apply borders at this so that we have quite visible lines between them. Now the calls that were made on a particular day. So the second table, we can call up on, let's say, customer name. You see the call type, the duration in minutes, and then we are supposed to find the amount payable. All right, I hope we have everything in order here. Resize, readjust, and then let's populate this. So we have Yoko, we have Fafana, we have Ali, we have Yaba, we have Mausi, and we have Kali, cool name, and then we have Ubara. Now let's look at the type of calls that these guys made. Yoko made a local call which lasted for 8 minutes. Fafana made a foreign call which lasted for 10. And we have 9 minutes for Ali for the same foreign call. And we have 20 minutes for Yaba, who made a trunk call. That's for trunk. Mausi made a local call that lasted for 13 minutes. Sorry for the fade out in the question paper. And we have another local call for 2 minutes for Kali, and then Ubara made a foreign call that lasted for 3 minutes. Awesome. So that is our table. Even though we could have inserted a table, that would be much faster. So you could have just chosen this and then insert a table. That would have been better. So don't do it my way. Be efficient and do it your way. All right. So here we can bolden our labels, and we do the same for the first case. Control B to bold, keyboard shortcut. All right. So we have that. We have everything in place now. We are good to go. I think. Let me just do this again and see what we got. All right, so we are good to go here. Now, question number 1, we should use an appropriate spreadsheet program to calculate the amount payable per customer. So this is our first task. How much will a customer, for example, Yoko, pay based on this condition that Yoko, he or she made a local call, and then that call lasted for 8 minutes. Now, the logic applying here is that if after the first 3 minutes, there are still additional minutes that the user or the customer made or stayed on call, per the type of that call, the customer is due to pay for these additional minutes on these charges. So for example, if a user made a call for 4 minutes, for the first, out of that 4 minutes, the first 3 minutes, the user is going to be charged either 10, 20, or 30 based on the type of call. And then here in this case, we assume 4. So take away 3 from that, and then we are left with 1. Now the remainder, that extra 1 minute that the user stayed on call, will be applied to this. So this will be the charge per the type of call. And then together, when we know how much extra the user or the customer stayed on call, we add that to the charge for the first 3 minutes. So the charge for the first 3 minutes and then the charge for the additional minutes will totally be our amount payable. I hope that makes sense, right? Yeah. All right. So let me just bring it all up here and zoom in so that we get ready to solve this. All right. So what we have here is to use a function that is able to return values for us and do some calculation. Now, based on this, we can use the logical if function. And this is the definition of what the if function does, if for those who are unaware. Now, this function will check whether a condition is met and then return one value if it is true and then another value if the logical test is false. So now, what is our logical test? Our logical test is going to be comparing the duration in minutes here. So we take this value and then the condition was that for the first 3 minutes. So we have to find the difference. That will be our logical test. The difference between how long the user made the call. Now, and the difference usually is just going to be -3. Now, if that's value, what we've written here is that when we look at the user's call duration and then we subtract that call duration from 3 and still we get a number that is positive, that means greater than 0, then it means that the user made additional or stayed on additional minutes after the first 3 minutes. And for that reason, we must charge that user per the type of call that the user made. So this is our logical test. So yes, if we just see or we find out that the user actually stayed more than 3 minutes on the call, then what is the value if true? The value if true is simply going to be the charge based on the type of call. In this case, it is local, plus the charge for the additional minutes. So after the first 3 minutes, how long more did the user stay on call? We take that difference and then multiply it by the additional charge based on the type of call. So this is how you must, this represents the line of thinking that you should bring to this. And I hope this really makes sense to all of us, right? Awesome. So now here, what value should Excel reveal or show when it finds out that yes, indeed, the user made calls that is more than 3? So that is our value if true here. All right, so how do we do that? Now we're going to be looking up values from up here and all that. So what we're supposed to do here is to use a function that is able to retrieve values from different tables, assuming you just use a table, you just reference it by the table name. That is all. So what you're going to do here is to call the function lookup. So it's a lookup function. Now lookup functions generally will look for the value in a column or in a table based on the column that you specify that it looks for that value from. So we're going to use the vertical lookup. So VLOOKUP here. Now what is VLOOKUP going to look up for? Now what is the lookup value? The lookup value is this. Looking at this additional minute, yes? The next part of the syntax is the table array. From where, which part of this worksheet should it find the value from? So I'm going to specify this whole area where we had our conditions. Now look at this area for me. Now because you're going to apply the same formula to all of these guys, we should just use absolute referencing. Now absolute referencing is such that our table will be static. So even if we move from one row to another row, the same rule will be applied. So how do you apply that? We just invoke a $sign between these two. So The basic way to do that is to use a keyboard, your function key, and then F4. Function key plus F4 together will use the absolute referencing. So that means that this table will be fixed as we move down. Is that clear? Yeah, I hope it is as much. Now, when it looks at this table, the next syntax in here is the column index number. What does this mean? Now, for VLOOKUP function, this is how it works. For selecting the table array, it classifies them into columns and then give these columns index numbers. So your first part of the table will have column 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So now here, what we have to reveal is here. We have to look at the value for the first 3 minutes. So the column index number here is 2. So we put down 2, and then we want it to reveal the exact value. So that will be false. Now, all that you've done so far is, hey, did the user spend more than 3 minutes? And if that is true, then fine. The charge for the first 3 minutes. That is all that this VLOOKUP function or formula here we've done implied here means. Now, when we get that, what do we do to that? We have to add that to the difference after the first 3 minutes. The additional minutes left, we have to multiply it by the charge for the additional minutes. So we use VLOOKUP and then a small formula to just retrieve that. Now, how do we do that? Go about the second part. Now, the second part is to find the difference after the first 3 minutes. So it is this value which is at C8. So that is a relative referencing. We have to subtract 3 from it. That is the 3 minutes. Now, after subtracting the 3, that is the additional minutes stayed on call. We have to multiply that value with the charge. Now, we have to use a function, the same VLOOKUP, to retrieve the charge for the additional minutes. So we call upon VLOOKUP. And then which value are we looking for? Yes, we're looking for this. Now, I think we have made a mistake here. So we'll fix that later on. We are looking for the call type, which is local. Now, after that, which table are we referencing to? The same table that we are using. And then function key plus F4 will make it absolute, so that when we move down to the next row after auto filling, it can assume and then reference that same table. Now, which part are we looking for? Now here, we want the extra charge. So we look at the column of this. The column index will be 3. So as I explained further earlier on, this is 1, 2, and then 3. So this is where we find the charges for the additional minutes. So look up in column 3 and then return us with the exact match. So this is neat. And the only thing we have to do here is to the lookup value. We are looking for this, the type of call that was local. So if it is local, then this is what VLOOKUP will look up for. If it is trunc, we'll come and then look up for here because we've specified to look in the first 3 minutes. And when we come to the additional minutes, we say, hey, look at the type of call. If it is local, then fetch me this charge, that is 5. If it is trunc, fetch me 10. If it is foreign, fetch me 15. I hope you guys are following this. So that is the logic behind the value if true. So if it is true that we spent more than 3 minutes, then this is the value if true. That is what will be returned to us. Now, we are done with the second syntax in the logical if function. That is the value if true. Now, what is the value if false? The value if false simply means that we didn't stay on call for more than 3 minutes. So that means 3 minutes or less, and we only have to pay this value and nothing about this. So that is the value if false. So if it is false that we didn't spend more than 3 minutes, then we only have to pay the charges for the first 3 minutes. So what do we do here? The value if false, we should use VLOOKUP to look up this value. Now lookup value here, look here, based on the type of call. So if it is local, then reference this whole table. This is the table array. And of course, we have to make it absolute so that when we autofill, it applies to, they all reference the same table. So the function key plus F4 will do that for you. And then the column index, we're only going to pay for the charges for the first 3 minutes. So the column index here is 2, as we know. So column B takes a column index of 2. So that is 2. And then we want to return the exact match or the exact value there. So we close that for the VLOOKUP, and then we close our logical if function. So here, let's the moment of truth. If we get an error, that means that we've made a mistake. We have to calm down, focus, and go through our formula to review where we made a mistake and then get it right. If we get it right straight ahead, then hoo-hoo, go us. So we hit enter and voila, we have a value. Now, the more reason why spreadsheets is advantageous than a calculator is our autofill feature. We double click that and then we have our amount payable calculated for us. And this is very easy, guys. This is as easy as it gets. This is very cool. So we've been able to do that. So that solves our problem 1, finding the amount payable. Now we go ahead and go to II. Find the maximum amount due per type of call. The maximum amount due per type of call. Okay. So here we just need to create the type of call which we already know. So let me just make it simple. So the type of call and then the maximum amount due. Great. So we have 3 types of calls here. So we can just copy and paste these. So what is the maximum? Here is just inquiring us to just use the maximum function. So we have to fetch using the max function and then find all local calls. So for Yako, made a local call here. So we fetch this. And what again? We find for foreign calls. No, we're still on local calls. So apart from Yako, there should be another local call. So Mausi also made a local call. And then we also have another local call from Kali. So we're telling Excel to look at these values and find the highest or the biggest or the largest among these numbers. So among the 3, we have 60 being the highest. We do the same for trunk. So the maximum of trunk, there is only 1 trunk call, so that automatically becomes the maximum. And then for foreign, we have Fafana making a foreign call. We have Ali making a foreign call. And lastly, we have Ugbara making a foreign call. So we hit enter and then we have our maximum amount due, the operator per type of call. So that is basically that. Now, lastly, we have a look at the total amount due the operator for the call center that day. So the total amount due the operator. So how do we find the total amount due the operator? Now in here, it's just going to be the total of the amounts that the customers paid. That is all. We just have to find the total amount that everyone paid. So that will be the total amount due. So we can just put it under these or just anywhere here will be fine. So that is the sum of all the total charges here. So how much did our customers pay at the end of the day? So that is the sum from D8 from Yokos to Fafana, Ali, Yaba, Mausi, Kali, and Ogbara, how much they all paid together. That will be the total amount due the operator. Yeah, we can just go ahead and then just make our work neat, specifying our answers and all that we solved for. So we fill in with colors. I think it's important we stay consistent. All right, so that is basically that. So that it completes everything for A. The amount payable per customer, check. Maximum amount due per type of call, check. And then the total amount due the operator for this day, that is also checked. Now let's go ahead and see B. Now we should use the header facility to insert our full name and index number. The header facility. All right, so where do we get this header facility? You can just do that by changing views. When you come here, page layout, you just click down here, page layout brings you this, and this is your page. Or I thought we could just do that here, but apparently not. So let's just assume back and then just insert a header. So as easy as it gets, press on insert and then you find your header or footer. Now our index number and our names. So that is of my full name, and you use yours here too. And then followed by our index number 011000101. So basically this achieves the purpose of inserting our username and then index number as the header. So that is what I have done. Now you see, after inserting header, you just come to page layout as I tried to do earlier on. So you could just have hit the page layout button down here, view, the page layout view down there, and then just start typing up here, and then we'll record it as your header. I hope that is cool. All right, so we have that inserted as our header. Now the last part of this problem is to save our work as calls in the folder that we created, and then we qualify for that 15 marks that is allocated for this problem. So you click on file, you press on save as, we go to our desktop and find our folder that we created, which should have our work, and then we should save this as calls, right? Yes, calls, plural. All right, now make sure that our file type is assuming an Excel file, that is with the extension. Based on the version of Excel that you're using, you might see something different, but you should just see XLS most importantly. That is always consistent among the file extensions for Microsoft Excel files. So when that is done, we save this and then we go and then verify if indeed our folder contains our work. So we open, we have calls. When we open it, we are sure to see that yes, we have our work in here, and then we qualify for our 15 marks. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure having you around, and I hope you are revising. And then if there's anything tricky about this, just put down your frustrations, your comments, what you think about this problem, and then let's have fun in the comments. I'll see you around, and I hope you come back for more. It's been a pleasure having this with you, and then I hope you guys are sharing this content, you're practicing, and then you're putting in the work to just pass and then get the skills. Most importantly, learn the skills of this, because this is going to follow you. Data analysis is very important in the real world. I hope you've had fun and then you've learned something new today. I'm glad you are here. You stayed with me and stuck to me throughout, and I wish you happy learning. Be great out there. Take care, and then I'll see you in the next video. This is Kwadwo Agyapong signing out. Bye.